to our podcast, Eligible In, where we feature eligible guests that you can date. My name is Devin, and I'm your host. Today, we are introducing Garrett. We're so excited. Just a reminder, as always, if you enjoy the conversation, please go ahead and give us a follow on social media and be sure to subscribe to us on your preferred podcast platform so that you're notified when new episodes drop. So, Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally? What brought you to Chicago? What do you do for work? That sort of thing.
Yeah, the basics are pretty simple. Grew up in Northeast Ohio in a small town. The only kind of real thing of note growing up was we were the hometown to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and the NFL was founded there. I was kind of desperate to get out of small town Ohio, so went to Northwestern for undergrad and kind of followed that natural process of then moving to Chicago. Loved the Midwest, wanted to stay here. I really wanted to be somewhere larger. Went to business school in Texas for 3 years, got my fill of the South, and then was like, it's time to come back to the Midwest. I've been in Chicago ever since. I work for Toast in marketing, really kind of helping us convince restaurant owners that they need our technology and then that we can help solve their problems, and doing a lot of kind of education and marketing around what that looks like. I'm a third generation restaurateur myself. My grandpa had a diner for 50 years. My parents have 4 restaurants in Northeast Ohio. My brother has a diner or has a restaurant, and I ran a ghost kitchen in business schools. That's kind of the family business and in our blood.
That's so cool. So I bet you were able to use that in your pitch to get a job at Toast.
Oh yeah, I think the
Nailed
fact
it.
that I grew up in restaurants was like the entire reason I got the job.
And you're the reason that you've kept that job, I'm sure. So
Yes.
that's awesome. Being that you are from Ohio, do you heavy into the college football scene? Do you follow it? You had mentioned that you were excited to kind of put that in the rear view. But if not, who's your team? And do you take it as seriously as some people do?
I get a lot of shit from my friends over this because despite going to Texas, I'm still an Ohio State fan. I'm not diehard Ohio State or diehard Texas really, but I follow them because, you need 1 or 2 good teams in your life. But really the true loyalty is Northwestern, but we've not competed for a while now. So I'm kind of bandwagon Texas, Ohio State every year.
Okay. And do you get to a lot of games? Do you like watching them alone in the comfort of your home with no distractions? What are your sort of your fandom, your fan rituals?
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of going to the Ohio State or Texas bar with all the other fans. Or going to the game myself. Watching at home is kind of my least preferred unless it's like a really big game where I want to really intently watch and like hear the commentary. But,
Okay.
like, for instance, the Browns, they're not good, so I don't actually want to listen and watch this at home. I'd rather go get drunk with a bunch of other Browns fans and commiserate.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a ton of sense. I hear that you went to gelato school in Italy. I did not know that was a thing. I now want to sign up for gelato school in Italy. How did you hear about that? How did that come about? What was that experience like?
But yeah, this was during business school. I was running the ghost kitchen at the time, was always kind of intrigued by gelato, and knew when I was going to Italy as part of this class trip, like I wanted to learn how to make gelato. That was like my big takeaway. But growing up in restaurants, I couldn't do the like hour cooking school class where it's like, here's everything, just put it in a bowl, you're done. That seemed too basic. I wanted to like know the real way. So I kind of scoured the internet, found this little school in this tiny town 2 hours from Rome. To the point there's like no Western hotels. There was like a McDonald's, and that was like the only Western brand there. And it was just me and the gelato master in this little shop above an equipment store for 3 days, learning kind of the secret of gelato in terms of like what the science behind it is, how you build
So cool.
recipes, and kind of all of that. So I make it from time to time now when I'm home. I have like the full like 50-pound gelato machine at home.
Just like sitting on the counter, like an espresso machine.
Yeah, it's in it's on a cart in a closet because it's too big to keep out. It would take up my entire counter.
Are the ingredients simple in the same way cream is, or no?
Yes and no. You still have like milk, flavoring, things like that.
Yep.
But the secret and the same thing with ice cream is like you have to get this perfect balance of sugars, fat, and like milk proteins. So you have to use a bunch of like stabilizers like Tarragum and things like that to like get that perfect texture.
So the process seems complicated.
It's not hard once you have the recipe. Once you have the recipe, it's
Okay.
like basically dump everything in a bowl and heat it up and then cool it down.
Okay. And given that you learned all this in Italy, you can still get the same ingredients and really replicate that here? Or is it kind of like a subpar version of the real thing?
No, it's just as good. It's a little bit harder to find the ingredients. You have to kind of like search wide and far and find 1 or 2 specific things, but you can still get them. and it's still just as
Okay.
good.
All right. Do you use those skills to impress people in Chicago? Like when you have people over at your house and you just like whip out the gelato machine?
Not that casually. It is one of those things that like tears apart my house when I do it because it's like
Yeah.
powders and liquids everywhere. That
Hmm.
it's more like if I'm going to a friendsgiving, I'll make a batch and bring it with me. But if people are coming over, it's usually like, okay, we're not going to make gelato because then my house is a mess.
Right. True. While you're entertaining. Do you have any other sort of recipes or things you make that you're like, I got this in the bag. I know that I'll nail it every time. It's a crowd
Yeah,
pleaser.
homemade pizza and Rice Krispie treats.
Nice. Match made in heaven.
Exactly. My ghost kitchen sold calzones. So I know how to work an oven, wood fired oven, and all of that. Like I have an Umi at home. So I know how to make the dough. I know how to make all the toppings, cook them in the real oven, all of that. And then growing up, my favorite treat was Rice Krispie treats. So I just was like, I have this recipe down. Salted brown butter. I have the controversial take of I like less marshmallows in mine. I want them to be a little bit crunchier than soft.
Okay.
So I even have like that ratio down too.
Okay. I trust you on that. Yeah, Rice Krispies are just one you can never go wrong. You really can't. Classic.
Exactly.
I'm really curious about another hobby that you have, and I hope that I nail this pronunciation, but you have weekly euchre nights with friends? I'm curious to just even hear what the game is like, but also curious about how that tradition formed, who you play with. Does it get heated and competitive? How does that work?
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar, euchre is a very kind of Midwestern Great Lakes card game that really is popular in like Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, that I grew up playing with kind of friends in grade school. And it's really just kind of like about matching the suit of the cards and a few other rules. During COVID, my friends and I started playing a bunch because we were locked down. There's three of us, and we had a friend that would come over. So we were like, okay, we'll just play a bunch of euchre. And then when I moved back to the city after business school, we were all kind of like, okay, we need something to do. One of the bars by us had a euchre league. And so we joined that probably about 2 years ago and play every Tuesday night. There's like 45 teams in this league. We're in the playoffs now, and it's like a couple $100 prize if you win. So it's a pretty like contested and legit league.
So things get pretty competitive.
Oh yeah, everyone's trying to like win the pot. It's like you're playing for real money and like a real sizable amount too.
Do you come up with funny team names like people do in trivia?
Oh yeah, we're you bet we call left queen nine, which probably doesn't really mean anything to you. But for those that know euchre will get a little chuckle out of it.
What was moving now towards more relationship dating questions that I'm curious about. Do you have a memory in mind of either or both the best date you've been on and the worst date you've been on?
I think for the best date I've been on, one of the things that stood out was it was Chicago summer. We had like a nice dinner, but we decided to walk to the AV Pier. And in the summer, 2 nights a week, they shoot off fireworks. So it was nice. Like we just kind of capped the night off sitting there watching fireworks on the lake.
That's so fun. And were you like, yeah, I orchestrated all of this for our date?
I wish I had kind of like remembered in the moment and was like, let's walk this way.
And then do you have a standout for worst date? Date
Not
gone bad?
particularly. No, nothing that's of interest other than just like someone who's not that
Yes.
interesting.
What are you looking to do and what are you thinking about when you're planning a date?
Yeah, I think if it's early on, it's definitely going to one of my favorite spots. I have one or two restaurants in the city that I will go to monthly, even if it's just by myself to sit at the bar. So if I'm trying to get someone out to know someone, I want to go to a place that I feel comfortable at and I know we're going to have a good time. The environment's not going to get in the way. So we'll go out for drinks, maybe have dinner. And then as we kind of start to get to know each other better, then it's like, okay, let's come over and like we'll do a full pizza night. And that's like really
Mhm.
the test of like, can they make a pizza? What do they put on their pizza? Like if you're like, oh,
Yes.
is there pineapple? Then like that might cause some issues.
Polarizing.
But that's kind of like, okay, we know each other a little bit now. Like let's spend some time together making pizza. I grew up in a family being in restaurants where like food and hospitality is kind of like at the heart of my family.
Mhm.
Uh, and are big things that are important to me in my life that if you're like, oh, I don't really like food or I don't like going out, then those aren't really gonna work.
Right. Deal breaker.
Yeah.
So what would happen if you brought a date home to do the pizza thing and she's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, fun-free."
I think I could do any of them minus like vegan. That'd kind
Okay.
of be the only one I would struggle with.
Yeah.
My big thing is more just like not being judgmental about it.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing with people who don't drink. Like I have no problem with that unless you're like judging me for drinking and I don't even drink that much. But it's like if you're judgy
Yes.
about it, then that's the deal breaker versus like if you're out having a ton of fun, great to be with, and you're sober, I could care less.
Yeah. Right. It'd be like, I'm a carnivore, so vegan, don't
Yeah,
judge me kind of thing.
exactly.
Also, too, I think vegan's a little tougher to find on a menu at a
Exactly.
restaurant unless you're at a vegan restaurant, in which case the other party's not satisfied with that menu. So I feel like that one's a little bit tougher.
Exactly. And like I grew up in a world where like there's a ton of butter, like you use cheese on everything that like you're just like, okay, like to be like, we're gonna not consume any animal product is hard. I could get
Right.
vegetarian, like completely understand, could adapt to. Especially like gluten free. My dad's gluten free. That's usually not like a choice. That's usually there's a reason you're gluten free.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, like, okay, I'll figure out how to make this work. Might be
Mhm.
different if you're like deathly allergic to gluten, but if you're like intolerant or anything like that, like as long as you're just fun to be around, it's fine.
Right. I think that's the thing too is the making a big like fuss and attention out of it too when you're ordering, and I feel like the gluten-free friends in my life are mortified, and sometimes they don't even and I'm like, "Okay, you have to tell the person who's taking your order,
Exactly.
that could be dangerous," but they're so nervous about, like, causing a huge fuss about it. So I think that's cool too. It's all about how they handle it and not making, like, staff feel uncomfortable or other people if, there's only one thing that you can have, and or, like, doing the research to call ahead too, to be like, "Hey, what's on this menu?" And then if there's nothing, maybe, like, find a new spot, you know?
Yeah. This is another controversial opinion or hot take in my life is that in this instance, that would have to be on the person. I refuse to look at restaurant menus before I
Wow!
like
So
some
you
people good.
For what reason? Do you like the element of
Yeah.
surprise, or are you like, there's so many specials that maybe wouldn't be in an online form, it could be completely different, so why waste my time?
I like to think that like I'll skim one to be like, okay, we're going to X place. What's the general vibe and like what's the price range? Just to like
Okay.
qualify it. But like some
Yep.
people are like walk in knowing what I'm gonna order. I spent all this time researching. I'm like, I have no idea. I've barely looked at this menu. I want to be surprised. Like I think that's a
Yep.
big part of the experience is like opening the menu for the first time and being like, okay, like let me soak all of this in while sitting in the restaurant and
Yep.
having the experience around me.
I also too always rely on the recommendations of the staff. So if I go in with an idea in my mind and I ask them what's good, what's popular, what I should get, and they don't name something that I want to, I don't get it. So
I
I will
am
say I'm flexible, but I do my homework ahead of time.
I'm definitely guilty of like asking for their opinion and I completely ignore it.
I mean, they're used to that.
Totally. And like they never take offense to it. And it's never like I don't
No,
trust your opinion. But sometimes
it's
it's
so
just like,
good.
yeah, like I get the lasagna is great, but like I'm really not feeling lasagna.
Yeah, they don't take it personal.
Totally.
Is there a certain type of person that you gravitate toward when you're dating,
Yeah,
or that you want to ultimately be with?
I think there's probably like two, maybe three big attributes I look for. One is like a combination of driven and ambitious. Like they're passionate about something. I am of the opinion that our passions don't need to be the same, but you should have passions. You
Mhm.
should have something you're working for, whether that's in your career or in your personal life. Like you have goals. And then the second one is just like has a sense of humor and is fun to be around. I come from a family with like a lot of big personalities. We like to go do things. I like to be out and about. And I want someone who's like equally down to just like have a nice night in, but also is like, yeah, like let's go check out this restaurant, let's go to this show, down for whatever, and willing to have a good time and just kind of laugh along the way.
Mhm. And doesn't need that sort of hand-holding if you're in those situations where with a big family, a big, loud, personality-driven family doesn't need, can hold
Exactly.
her own.
Exactly.
Uh, where do you stand on the I think, sometimes in relationships, the sort of fun calendaring can fall on one person or the other. I think typically it's probably, it might be the female. And where do you stand on that? Do you think it should be more split between people in a relationship, or do you think if one person is like constantly, out and about and the social butterfly of the dynamic, then they naturally would have an easier time planning and knowing what's going on?
I think it's a split of things where, assuming you have passions, like there's things going on around your passion that you're going to want to go to, that I would like to go to some of those with you. I don't need to
Yep.
go to every single one. Like you can go with your girlfriends, you can go with your other friends, like those people that you spend that time with. So like to me, it's a lot of like sharing a bunch of things on Instagram back and forth and being like, "Oh, which of these are we going to actually go to?" Or like, "Oh, I'm in the mood for X," or like, "Oh, let's go make a reservation for this." Or like,
Mhm.
"Oh, this place just came up," and just kind of being like, we're both absorbing everything happening and we're just kind of like having a conversation about like, which of these do we actually want to do and like which of these do we want to do together?
Yeah. So both doing that research and then arriving at an
Yeah.
answer together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, to me, it's not even as, like, complex as, like, we're going to this concert 9 months from now. It's like, "Oh, it's a Thursday night and we're both free, like, should we just, like, walk down to the restaurant on the end of the block that we have gotten to the point that we're regulars at and the people know us?" Like,
Mhm.
that can be as simple as it is to me. It doesn't have to be, we're planning a 12-week trip across the world.
Right. What certain aspects of or areas of your life are you most excited to share with a partner?
Yeah. I'm trying to think how I wanna phrase this. I've recently gotten very into improv and comedy in general. I've been taking improv classes for about a year and really kind of enjoy that community. I'm excited to have someone to kind of engage in some of that with, not necessarily take the classes with and get deep in it, but to like be like, let's go see a show, kind of nerd out with a little bit.
Mhm.
And then like kind of similarly, like I love a good restaurant experience. Like I don't love the term foodie because I think that kind of like undersells a lot of how I think about it
Mm.
where, like, I'm not there for the Instagram photo, I'm there because restaurants are, like, my family's business and my lifeblood.
Mhm.
Even today working at Toast, like, that's how I still make my money. So
Mhm.
I love kind of that community and hospitality element, and I really am excited to kind of share that with someone and dig deep there.
What is something in relationships specifically that you're working on or that you want to be better at? That you know that you wanna get better at?
I think it's just being honest and communicating. I think there's a lot of, like, rules, for lack of a better word, about, like, how someone should show up, like, "Oh, I have to wait 3 days to text them back," or "We need to text all the time," or "None of the time," and things like that, and I think for me, it's kind of just putting on that thought of being like, the best way to communicate is just how I communicate naturally. Why am I gonna force myself to be different versus just, like, expressing how I feel on the timeline in which I feel it and communicating
Mhm.
appropriately and also not needing to text someone 24/7 and being like, "Let's just go get a drink." And that might be 24 hours from now, or that might be a week and a half from now, and just being okay with that.
So not getting in your head about these sort of, like, cultural norms or
Yeah.
things that we hear and rules like that and just being yourself.
Yeah. That and I feel like there's a lot of, like, pressure to try and build relationships over text, and it's not a good way to do it.
Mhm.
Being like, "That's not a relationship, that's being a pen pal." Like,
Yep. Are you more of, and I feel like I know the answer based on what you just said, but are you more of an apps person or would you rather just strike up a conversation with someone in person and meet them IRL that way?
totally in person. I think that is so much more engaging, so much more fun, all of that. The apps feel very, like, transactional and forced. Like, I've had great
Mhm.
dates off the apps, but also it's a lot of work and a lot of transaction where I'd rather just kinda be like, "Yeah, I can, in 30 seconds, get a much better read on you than I can conversing on the app with you for a week and a half."
Right. Yeah, there's just so much that you miss from a
Exactly.
one-dimensional profile on someone.
Exactly.
How are there sort of like indicators that you are ready to commit to someone seriously or like sort of alarms that go off in your mind that say this person either is or isn't the one and someone to consider long term?
I would say less so is, more so isn't. And I think it's kind of back to like those two big pillars I have where it's like the person is just like kind of apathetic about things. Like I've been on dates where the person's like, yeah, like I wish I could have hobbies, but I'm always tired after work or whatever. And I'm kind of like, okay, like maybe this isn't the right match, or is just like out to drink and like clearly like not a fun and engaging person or even like rude to others, like things like that kind of are the glaring red flags that I'm like, I don't know that this is the right person.
And those things can be so early on too. So something like that, I think it's maybe even helpful when it presents
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
you're like, this goes against every fiber of my being. So, I don't think it's going to be a fit.
Exactly.
Okay, so now we're gonna play a really fun game. This is my favorite part of the Eligible In podcast. We thought it'd be fun since you play. I have to pause before I say this word. Euchre, euchre every week. We thought it'd be fun to play a game where you have to apply euchre strategy to various different dating scenarios that we feed you. And just like background for people watching who aren't familiar with the game, it's and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about like reading your hand, knowing when to call. Trump is a word I think is involved in the game. When to go alone, working with your partner, like, these are all sort of key themes that have to do with the game that will be mentioned in this game that we're playing. I just wanted to give that background in case people are like so the first category will focus on calling Trump, so knowing when to make the first move if we're equating that to dating. Okay, so here's the first one. You've been chatting with someone for a few weeks and there's definite chemistry, but neither of you has made a move to ask the other out. Do you call Trump and make the first move, or do you pass and wait to see if they do?
Always call Trump. In fact, it shouldn't have been multiple weeks. We should have called Trump a long time ago. That's like
Okay.
having, in euchre terms, which I don't think you're going to get this reference, but like that's like having a loner and not calling
I'm just gonna nod.
it.
Okay, next one. You're at a party and lock eyes with someone across the room multiple times. Your hand isn't great, but there's potential. Do you call it or pass?
I'm a big fan of playing what we call gutsy euchre. So calling things that you maybe shouldn't, that aren't the best hands. And
Gutsy is
this
a word
feels
I
like
know.
one of those. Yeah.
Okay, now moving to going alone. So for those who don't follow the game, like taking a risk, was that fair?
Yeah. So in euchre terms, it's playing without your partner. So it's like upside
Okay.
versus downside, where if you get it right, you get 4x the points. But if you get it wrong, your opponents get 4x the points.
Okay. Okay, so the first one is you really like someone, but your friends are skeptical and think that you should take it slow. Do you go alone and trust your gut, or do you rely on your partner? In which case, this is like the friend who's giving advice.
I think I'd lean on my friends. I really trust my friends. I know they have my best interest in mind, and a lot of them have found great partners for
Hmm.
themselves. I don't know that it's like truly a deal breaker, like call things off immediately, but is like a red flag or yellow flag to like slow down a little bit and see what I'm
Yeah,
actually feeling, and if I'm not just like in deep.
yeah. Like their opinion is important to you. You're going to take
Yeah,
it into consideration.
yeah. It's not the only opinion, but it's enough to like cause me to think a little bit more and dig a little
Right.
deeper.
You've been on two amazing dates and you feel ready to tell them you want to be exclusive, even though conventionally it might be too soon. Do you go alone with this bold move or play it safe?
I think in my mind, it probably takes 3 or 4 dates to get there. I think it's definitely a place to like move from like we're gonna go get a drink at the bar to like let's come over and like let's make pizza.
Hmm.
But I don't know that like I truly know someone well enough after 2 dates, unless they were both like multiple hours long to be like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm gonna be exclusive with this person.
Right. I think 3 dates is a good bar. I mean, you definitely know by then if you want to continue on or not.
Exactly.
And then you may continue on and be like, oh, I'm uncovering things I don't like or that I love. And great. Either way, you have an answer.
Exactly.
Okay, so now for reading your hand, which what do we call that, like, sort of assessing the situation?
Yeah, it's like you get dealt 5 cards and you're trying to see like, should I call Trump or not? And like, is this a good hand or a bad hand? And like, am I going to lead on this or is my partner going to take the lead on this?
Okay, so you're sort of, like, strategizing.
Yeah,
Okay. You're dating someone and things are good, but not great. You have a mediocre hand, some good cards, some bad. Do you keep playing it out to see if it improves, or do you fold and move on?
I think it kind of depends on what the good and what the bad are. Like, are the bad things that I know are against who I am and forcing me to be someone different? Or is
Mhm.
it like this person wears a yellow shirt and I hate the color yellow? Which I don't actually hate the color yellow. But like, if it's the latter, it's like, okay, that's not something that's like changing who I am. That's not
Right.
causing me to be someone different. I can tolerate their choice of colors.
Yep. Character, hard to change.
Yeah,
Fashion, easy to counsel on.
exactly.
3 dates in, they still haven't texted you first. You're always initiating. Your your hand looks weak. That's hurtful. Do you keep playing or do you pass?
I think I kind of take a step back and let my partner lead here in the sense of like, okay, I've initiated the last 3 times. I'm going to kind of like not initiate and see what happens.
Mhm.
I don't know that it's like truly give up, but it's like, okay, I'm going to come in less aggressive. They're telling me subconsciously they're not interested or not as
Yep.
interested or as invested that like let me see if they're just not leading because I'm leading too fast.
Mhm. Yeah, so pulling back a little bit and just seeing
Yeah.
where it goes. Now we get to the trump card, which is like playing your best hand or your best asset kind of thing.
Yeah. So in euchre, if you play the trump card, it's like if say the trump suit is spades, if I play a spade, the spade beats the best of any other suit.
Okay. Got it. I swear I'm getting it. You're planning a date and you want to impress. What's your trump card? The thing you'd pull out to win them over. Is it your
Uh,
gelato skills? Gelato skills, just keep making it in here. Taking them somewhere special or something else?
I think it's taking, so if it's early on, it's taking them somewhere special. Um, there's one or two restaurants that I either know bartenders at, or I know the manager and the owner from work or from other things. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take him to my restaurant where like I know the people.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, he's not just like a stranger. Like he knows the people. That's new and different and exciting. If it's further along, then it's like, okay, like I'm going to make you dinner. We're going to go have pizza, or we're going to make gelato, or we're going to do something. Like I'm going to pull up the stops and show you that like I can cook and I can bake and I can do all of that.
Mhm. It's really funny that so you take, like, first dates to those restaurants where you know everybody and everybody knows.
Not first, but second.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
I feel like a first date, you in case they go wrong, you're like, "Maybe I shouldn't go somewhere where I'm gonna know people."
exactly. First date is like we're going to a bar. Like I have two or three bars that are nice, but not like crazy, crazy. They're like cool.
Yep,
But I'm like, okay, this is a good respectable first date, or we might like
yep,
walk and get coffee, depending on the time of year in Chicago. But second date is like, okay, I'm gonna take you to somewhere that's like kind of special to me.
mhm. That makes sense. In the spirit of the working with your partner, teamwork theme of the game, when do you know you and someone are truly working together as a team versus just two people spending time together?
I think it's when the conversation kind of shifts from being like very surface level, what did you do this weekend? What are you doing next weekend? To like going down deep rabbit holes, being like, okay, we're now talking about like our childhoods and like not in like a creepy trauma way, but in like a what brought you joy growing up, or like what's your family like, or like even just like a random arbitrary topic, going deep on it and having like a deep discussion that's not surface level, I think is kind of like the first sign
Mhm.
that we're like truly kind of forming that partnership, and it's not just like, yeah, we're two strangers having a drink.
Right. Um, okay, another scenario. Your partner in like the date relationship sense, not the game sense, wants to make a big decision like moving in together. How do you make sure you're playing as a team and not just reacting to their move?
I'm someone who is a somewhat intuition and emotion driven decision maker. I'm not big like let me write out the pro cons. I like someone who kind of sleeps on it and then like wakes up with like a kind of crystallized vision in my mind of what I want to do.
Mhm.
To others, it feels somewhat snap where I'm like, oh, I'm like going to go to business school now, or I want to go chase this in my career. And people are kind of like, how did you arrive at that? And I'm like, it just kind of got there. Like I thought
Right.
about it generally and like woke up one day being like, this is it. So I think for me, it's like, okay, having the discussion about what this might look like and then giving me one or two nights to sleep on it and kind of think about it and process it in my emotional sense and like my intuition
Mhm.
sense and being like, okay, does my gut feel like this is right or not? I'm not really like a we're gonna draft a pro con list and make a pro con based decision.
No PowerPoint slide deck.
No, that's like work. That's not personal life.
So so you like to be sort of left alone to make that decision, or do you like to be left alone initially and then you come back to the table and talk it out together and
I
come up
think a
with something?
combination. Like I don't need to be like I'm going on a 7 day silent meditative retreat. Don't talk to me. But I also don't need to like have you hanging over me as I'm trying to make this decision.
Yep.
It's kind of like let's just go back about our lives while I'm thinking about it, and then we can have a conversation in 2 or 3 days.
Mhm. That makes sense. Okay. I'm reading the words getting euchred, and this does not sound fun to me. Is that when things go awry? Is that when you lose? What is that?
Yeah, so that's, if I call Trump and you win a majority of the tricks, like, I don't know how to describe this in an easy way. Basically, it's like you thought you had something good, but someone had something better.
Okay.
So
So
they
I
get 2 points instead of you getting a point.
okay. I keep equating a lot of this to like it kind of feels like poker, no?
It's not really
Not
something
the
like
not the method, but the some of the themes.
Not really.
Okay, not at all. Not getting it then. Not getting it as much as I thought.
It's more like hearts or spades if you've played either of those.
Okay. Yeah. I get so nervous, like, in a social situation if someone's like, "Pick up this game in 5 seconds," and I'm
This
not
is
on, like,
not
a
a game you can pick up in 5 seconds.
yeah, like, that overwhelms me. I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to, like, stop and think about the rules of the game and the instructions, and this isn't fun anymore."
The rules are relatively straightforward. The strategy is harder to accumulate, and you're
Okay.
also almost always playing with someone who grew up, who has like
How long
on you.
how long did it take for you to from the first time you started playing for you to feel confident playing?
I have no idea because I was like 8.
Yeah, just born with it.
Yeah, it was just like I played with friends growing up in grade school.
Yeah,
Over the summer, we'd be at the pool playing euchre. Like, I don't
yeah.
remember when I learned how to.
Yeah, you just grew up on it.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so first scenario, you called Trump confidently. Does that mean that you win? You have the Trump card?
No, it just means that I thought I was going to win.
You called Trump confidently by asking someone out, but the date goes terribly and you got euchred. How do you recover from that?
Yeah, I think it's keep it friendly, especially if this is a case where it's like there's no external factors. Like on paper, you thought you were a great match. There just wasn't chemistry. It's just being like honest and communicating, like, hey, I had a good time. I don't know that we're a great match. Best of luck to you in all your future endeavors. There's no reason to kind of like lead it on or like try and make it into something it's not going to be.
What if the person on the other end had the opposite takeaway? They were like, "We really vibed. We hit it off. How dare you?"
I think I'd really have to be like, how far did I think it was a miss from? And I think, like, in my mind, like, if I'm the one being like, let's just be friendly, like, there's nothing here, it's pretty bad,
Yep.
especially after like a first date. I'm kind of like, first dates are just generally awkward.
Yep.
So I'm kind of like, as long as I had a pretty good time and I thought there was something potential, I'm game for a second.
Okay.
After the second's a little bit more where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be more discerning. Like, does this feel like there's something here or not? And after the second, maybe. But like after the second, if I feel like we should just be friendly and there's not something there, then I don't think their opinion would sway that.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're dating someone, you go on a couple dates, whatever it is, and you think that you have a winning hand, but it turns out that you completely misread it and you got euchred?
Not really. I usually have some inclination. I've got it where it's like, okay, the first 1 or 2 dates were great, amazing. And then by the third, you're kind of like, huh, like this date didn't feel as right as the other. The other one was kind of like, I just
Right.
want to be friends. And I'm like, yeah, like I probably wanted like 1 or 2 more dates to like get to that conclusion, but I'm not
hmm
shocked that that's what your conclusion was.
Right. Well, now that we've put you through the ringer with those hypothetical scenarios, I just want to say in closing, thank you for joining us today. And just a call out to anyone listening who would like to get to know Garrett better, please shoot us an email at hello@eligiblein.com, or you can visit eligiblein.com, our website. And while you're there, make sure to nominate someone eligible in your life. And maybe that's you. Who knows?
Thanks for listening to Eligible In, a production of Eligible In Media. Our theme song is by Monster Rally. If you see someone you like on our show, or if you would like to nominate yourself or someone you love to be interviewed by us, please visit us at eligiblein.com for more information, including a link to subscribe to our newsletter, where you can stay up to date on our newest episodes, as well as exclusive features of our eligible people.
Lovely.